welcome back to Elektro Vox. Today I have the wonderful SIRUS, who've just finished their set at Resistance 2022, which was absolutely incredible. You guys have come a very long way. You come all the way from Melbourne.
Yep.
Did you have a good journey over? Was it difficult?
22-hour flight or two, like one was 14 hours and 13 hours or something. So it's very long, and but we're just happy to be here. Like, we've always put in that kind of effort to do it. Yeah, always.
Yeah, so no difficulties then?
Oh, no. I mean, in fact, this was the easiest getting into the UK that we've ever had, because not a lot of international guests from our part of the world are coming back yet. So it's still all very sort of quiet. Domestic's gone crazy, but international is still very much like we lined up and there were, two people ahead of us, and that was about it. So the easiest to get in, they didn't even ask us what we were doing, whether we were playing or... Yeah, so actually quite easy.
Oh, so you got from like really strict lockdown in Australia to like nothing.
Yeah. And also just, easy to get into the UK as well. They didn't even want to know why we were coming into the country. So,
It was ideal. The previous immigration officers for 2018, that was hard. That was like a 3-hour line. And you get there and you're ruined at that point, right, from the distance of the flight. And they get there and they're really hard on what you're doing there. Like, they press it and they ask hotels and like...
They want to know where you're staying, what are the addresses,
the names
are you a domestic terrorist, that kind of thing.
Oh, amazing.
This time it was scanning in and it took like 5 minutes. It was fantastic.
So, it was good.
Okay, so not your first time playing Resistance. What does Resistance Festival mean to you?
Professionals. We played a lot of punk, dank kind of bars in Melbourne and in other parts of Australia, and we've had our fair share of small gigs, medium gigs, and people that just they're all doing it because they're passionate about it. But Resistance is a team of people that all have experience in their jobs, great lighting people, great audio people, great venue organisers, and it happens to be the festival where all the bands that I personally play at. So it's the ultimate combo.
Yeah, I mean, if my memory serves correctly, you helped out Seraphim System last time you were here, wasn't
Yes, that's right. I think, was that 2016 or something? Yeah, that was fun. I did a remix for him, and so we played that live on stage. And I guess by the time this video comes out, people will have seen us go on stage with somebody else.
Okay, amazing. Yeah. Okay, so Josh, Ryan and Kiva, how did you get into industrial music, and how long ago?
Oh shit. That would have been for me, maybe 15 years ago, an uncountable amount of time. I came from the psytrance scene. Melbourne and Australia has a big psytrance scene. We have big outdoor festival kind of scene, and I had a lot of alternative friends. All my friends listened to metal, and I listened to psytrance. And then I heard a band called Tactical Sect. Before I had heard anything like that, I was buying all their CDs, and I was just, I didn't realize there was a bigger scene. I thought that was the band that sounded that way, and you do that when you're still buying physical CDs in little goth shops. We had this shop where you go down these stairs under this bank that was really dank, and they had old CDs, Tactical Sex CDs, and the internet was pretty crappy back then. So.
Funny how I found this band in that same store.
Yes, and then we got our CDs in that little goth shop whilst it was still around, so that was pretty cool. That was a long time ago, but it was Tactical Sect, moving from psytrance to something more aggro-techy, more terror EBM in the beginning.
I think quite a lot of gothic people that go into industrial had the same kind of experience with Combi Christ. It's oh, what's this? And then couldn't find anything else for a long time, and then suddenly, wow, there's the world of industrial.
Yeah.
So, how about you guys?
Well, I came from the black metal world, predominantly listening to that in high school, and then I think it was Noise Effects. I heard that, and it just seemed like a practical kind of linear transition into something more electronic.
What year was it?
What year was what?
When you discovered it. How long have you been into it?
Oh yeah, probably since like 2009. Don't ask me to do maths because I don't know how long ago that was.
That was some time indeed.
Yeah,
It was 13 years, I think.
Yeah, for me it would have been about 2007-ish, I think, and that was the time when that second wave of aggro tech was sort of coming through. So you had that sort of like post FLA bands, right? So for us that do a lot of EDM kind of modern production sounds, we picked up an interest in bands that were just starting to cross genres more, and they were starting to sound a little bit more like commercial dance music, I think, at that point. That's where we joined on. And then from about 2007, 2008, things started to get more and more dance-oriented and less about that, like 90, 100 BPM kind of, like EBM, that mid-tempo EBM. Things started getting a lot faster. And we were on that first wave for a while, but now our tempos come back down to that 100 BPM kind of mid-tempo thing.
Yeah.
So.
And yourself, Ryan?
Mine's an absolute journey. Are you ready?
Ooh, yeah.
Well, I was not from electronic music because I grew up in the country, right, where you don't have that. No internet, no, like CDs basically from the local store, so you pretty much only get what's really, really big. Anyways, I was a metal rat for ages. I went to school with this very unusual, very fine-haired blonde boy called William. Anyways, he had started his own industrial metal band. I had no idea what it was. I just wanted to play with him because he was quite good at guitar. Anyways, our band was called Fear for Thought. And it was very unheard of in a country town because normally it's all metal bands. And Fear for Thought was essentially a hardcore singer, a guitarist, and we had one of those launch pad things where you could just trigger a scratch. So we essentially built songs sort of with a sort of a cranky bass line that was almost electronic and our triggerable scratch. That was the first step, but the key was, which is how I got to SIRUS, was I was playing without metronomic assistance, which is really, really hard, because when you're playing to a triggered scratch and obviously a set bass line, you have nowhere, and we had to have like foldbacks from the in-ears perspective back in the day, because I have it all now in one track in my head, I know what's happening. We didn't have that, so we had to like properly be tight. Anyways, fast forward a couple of years, I ended up in Melbourne, away from a small country town. I'd been emailing this band called Cold Divide. Nice. Anyways, one of the members of SIRUS was in Cold Divide, so I earned my stake in that, which is sort of like, I don't know, how do you describe Cold Divide? Like 9 Inch Nails? Sort
industrial
of,
rock.
But way better than 9 Inch Nails.
It was industrial rock with some drum and bass.
Sort of like that, right? And then Joshua was like, that could work.
I basically saw him playing for a sister band, someone that was playing with us a lot, and I saw him in Cold Divide and I was like, I need this drummer. So,
I got Pillage. It was like a nest of little baby eggs, and I got Pillage.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't imagine, I mean, I don't know, but what's the industrial scene like in Australia? I mean, there's obviously Amelia Arsenic, who's...
It's not very good, man.
Now,
there's 3 of us, and we all don't really get along.
Basically it's Melbourne with quite a lot of industrial DJ events, and then the rest of the country barely limping behind it. It's not very good. But we've made it our own, and certainly Ryan's basically correct as far as like bands that have gone overseas. There's 3 of us, and we don't get along.
The lines got very crossed, unfortunately. But if you're in metalcore and you're in Australia, you'll be famous in minutes. But anything else, it's sort of, I don't know. And it's difficult, right? Because you have 2 choices. You have a bar to play in. We have a tennis stadium.
Yeah.
Everything in the middle is dead, so you sort of don't really get, you have to push it, which means you have to come here to really get anywhere. If we were all from Europe, it'd be easy because you could just sort of, you've got access to multiple cities. If you're American, there's hundreds of cities. We've got 7.
So that's a huge part of being in Australia, and what a lot of people don't realise is, like, if you tour in the United States, you can go in a van, you can drive an hour and a half, whatever, between cities, and you can do a city night. It takes about 12 to 15 hours to get between cities in Australia, so there's no way you're going to be able to do a tour like that. You have to fly. There's just, and we only have 2 really viable cities to do a show, 2 or 3. So really, when people go, oh yeah, like we're going to do an Australian tour, they look at the logistics. I've had industrial bands come to me because they're like, oh, you know the ropes, show me what we'll do, and we'll do an industrial tour. And they look at it and they're like, that's going to cost us 20 grand, and we're going to play 3 cities, you know. And it's just, you know, it's so it's difficult. But we're happy to be the band from Melbourne that gets to play in the UK, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of sort of fans over here that said, can you please interview Cyrus? I know we've done a text interview before, but yeah, everyone keeps asking for you guys, so hopefully you guys will be happy now.
Also,
okay, so your label DWA tells me that you guys have a new album coming out, is that
yes,
correct?
we do. It's like every Cyrus album, it's a real jumble of genres and different things. So it's to describe a Cyrus album is always difficult because we are writing so much different kinds of music. Like what can I say? Like every other Cyrus album of late, it is going to be different, quote unquote, and you'll just have to figure it out. But lots of, like, as always, tempo changes, like ethnic instruments, lots of different kinds of world music influence, lots of EDM influence, lots of bass music influence, lots of metal influence. It's going to be, you know, it's the same but sort of supercharged. So.
And when can we expect that?
I would say towards the middle to the end of the year. We're looking at possibly doing it a bit differently and releasing it on a track-by-track basis. So we'll decide whatever works best. But yeah, it is finished, but yeah, we're just looking for the right time. This post-covered world is a bit weird where you have to figure out. DWA still has horrible postage restrictions because Jamie, the label head, lives in Osaka and Japan's still very closed off. So if we want to make any money from physicals like vinyl or anything like that, we have to wait basically for their borders to open up a little bit more. It seems okay in the UK and it seems okay in where we are, but from the label's perspective, it's not the right time to release an album.
So you guys have some fantastic new merchandise which you've released at the festival today. It's very cybery. So when are you going to release that to sort of everyone else?
Right after the festival. I think maybe as soon as I get back home, which is like 2 weeks. Then I will jump online and I'll put it on the web shop, and I think we have enough to satisfy that people have been asking for pre-orders in a lot of larges. I think we've got enough of that at home to do that. But yeah, like it's doing really well so far. So.
Okay, perfect. And each of you, could you recommend maybe 2 bands each that people might not necessarily have heard of?
Ooh,
I've got one,
yeah,
for sure. A metal band that I think is really similar to what we do, which is just a massive conglomerate of genres that you don't necessarily think would go together. It's called Mechina. They're from Chicago. It's basically a studio-based band. The sound production is absolutely phenomenal. So they mix a lot of like progressive and death metal with industrial, symphonic, operatic. And all of the albums are concept albums basically based off of the sci-fi book Hyperion. So definitely worth a look.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I will give a shout out to a new friend of ours, a guy named Wade, who has a cool Melbourne industrial project called Ruuksine, Ruuksine. He is just getting started, but I can tell he's incredibly talented. Really dig it. He does hardware only, so all of his music is written without a computer, and it sounds like fantastic clinic era EBM, and he's really got something going. At least the last album was like that. He's really cool. So a nice plug to our friend, and maybe. I notice a lot of people have noticed a bit of a Mick Gordon influence in some of our most recent stuff, that Doom-esque soundtrack. I would recommend everyone check out the sort of prior to that, there were some people making that music called Sonic Mayhem, who did the soundtrack for Quake 2 and that kind of thing, that kind of industrial metal with sampled guitars and not real guitars, or like a good mix. But Sonic Mayhem are fantastic, and also another artist that is right in that same genre is Andrew Hirschholt. that does that kind of thing. So all that video game doomy music pre Mick Gordon there's a huge history there to check out. So if people like industrial metal but they want it to be like really triggered and really electronic, Sonic Mayhem.
You've definitely just brought back a lot of Quake
memories
of music and going,
Sonic Mayhem.
Amazing. And yourself?
Cold Divide, second best band in the world, Australian made, Spotify. The other one, which may be a little bit unknown, is called D-Slam. Hardcore electronic, really quite, it's quite dank indeed. But the creator of D-Slam, not sure about him. No, he's alright. He's a terrific chap. He's really talented. So yeah, you got to check out D-Slam. There's a few releases. I'm not sure where he's gone recently.
Couple of tracks.
He may be busy with other things, but yeah, Spotify, D-Slam, Spotify, Cold Divide. Both Australian made too. Australia's full of fucking awesome shit. Most of us find it difficult to come this far. It's not super viable, but the internet is a magical thing which we should all use.
Alright, and lastly, do you guys have anything to say to your fans?
Oh man, just thank you for your continued support, and it's like coming home. When we come to the UK, we felt the same thing in 2018 when we did our little European tour over here, and once again, just coming here feels really like coming home. There's just people that are so kind, and there are just no words. We love you all. You're all amazing.
When you see a room full of people like that, honestly, all the nonsense for flying and like check-ins and hauling your baggage around and like hauling it onto a train, and then it makes that definitely fade into the distance. It makes it absolutely worth it when you see a whole room of people who are thrilled about Cyrus. I'm even shocked some of them know the lyrics. That is always a surprise, because you don't, as a musician, you don't go home and sit in like a pleasant state of wonderment about shows like that. You forget, right? You forget that people can access your music and they are listening to it. And you see it like that, it makes it all worth it.
Yeah, I've never seen a room so full at 4 p.m.
Thank you. I will say, Leighton knows what he's doing. So if Leighton puts us on at that time, we will play at that time, and then people will come. So that is, and also we've flown a long way, so it's not cheap to get a band from Melbourne, so he has to really love us, which I think is amazing, which I think it warms my heart that he would reach out so far, and make it happen for us. We are so far from his inner core, his circle, and for him to just be like, no, we want you guys, it's amazing. Yeah.
Okay. Anything for yourself, Fish?
Oh, absolute gratitude. The people that we met last time are lifelong friends, and just to see them in the crowd, it really feels like you're playing for family.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, guys, for coming over and playing such an amazing set, and thank you guys for watching. Elektro Vox.